What's up, Cowboy Nation, Cowboy Headquarters, and America's team? And here we are. What's up, Wednesday? We are back once again in the thick of things, and there's a lot going on, man. There's a lot going on, and I want to say welcome back to all our subscribers and all those that follow us on the Cowboy Huddle podcast. Give it up. Yeah, man. Ooh, wait, man. Tempers are flaring. I mean, snot is being blown all over the place. Punches being thrown. People pulling their hair out. People kicking doors in. Content creators going against one another. What in the crap is going on? Somebody help me. But yeah, it's things going on. But we're gonna get right on into it. But before I get started, I definitely have to do this here. I got to give a big thanks to, if you guys already know me, I got to give thanks to our subscribers. If you have noticed, we are growing. We are growing, and I got to give a big shout out to everybody. A big thank you to these individuals. These are all our Facebook social media groups. Big shout out to Cowboys on Deck, Cowboys Fan 365, We Them Boys, 520 Boys, Queen of Honor by Cowboys Fan Club Mexico, Cowboy Fan Zone 24/7, Guadalajara, Hard Hitters, Lifestyle, One Star, One Family, and everyone else that I may have missed, but we want to say thank you for your support. Give it up. Yeah, man. So there's a lot going on. And I hope y'all are understanding that there's issues and everybody just all over the place. It's like the end of the world has come or something. I don't know what's going on. All right, WWE guys in the house, give it up for WWE Ivan Sosa. We got something. Well, we got the WWE guy. We're gonna sign you up, Ivan. We're gonna sign you up. They need some help, brother, and because there's a lot of things going on. But hey, we got to figure that. He said, what do we got? Eric Kendricks. Okay, woo, we finally doing something. What you say, Eric Kendricks? Let's give it up for Eric Kendricks. Yeah, so I got some folks in the green room right now, man. It's gonna come on here. Like I say, you guys are going to be the voice today. So the link has been placed in the comments. So if you got anything you want to say tonight, this is the night to say your piece. But with that being said, man, it's just a lot that's going on. So I'm gonna bring our first guest, that somebody I can always look like he's kind of caught up right now. Go ahead and handle your business, brother. But this guy always come through for me. It's always, and I want to give a big shout out to our guy. Here he is, PR Cowboy. Give it up.
What's up, G?
Man, tell me about it. What is going on and what's good in the hood, brother?
Man, not much. Tell you that. Tell you what, not much, man. Yeah,
Not much at all, man. I'm telling you, bro, it's some punches being thrown, some name being called, and people are frustrated, people are mad, and it's just, man, there's a lot of things going on, man. And just found out, man. I don't know if you heard this, but come to find out, look like where is he at? Neville Gallimore will not be returning to the Cowboys.
with the Dolphins.
What the crap?
Yep.
So
Another hole to fill.
So he's going to Miami. He is going to Miami. So this is something that's going to have to be seen, man. I mean, you know, I think we had like 13 free agents that we had to sign, and boy, look at here, Dan Quinn done picked up 2 or 3 of them, and then we got who is that? Tony Pollard went to the Titans, and then we got Fowler. Fowler is going to look like he's going to the Commanders as well. I don't know if you heard that one.
Yep, Fowler's going there. Tyler Biadasz, and then we're still waiting on Tyron Smith to make a decision somewhere. So
yeah, for sure, man. So what's up? Fleabug is in the house. Give it up for Fleabug. She for whatever reason having technical difficulty, but let's give it up. That's our moderator, the one that keeps me on scripts and keep me on point. But like, I am solo dolo with all the controls and equipment tonight. PR Cowboy. So man, what's going on? What Ooh, what's on your mind, brother?
How where do we start, G? Where do we start?
Yeah, I
I
know it.
we have been patient with this team for we've gotten used to the we're going to build through the draft, uh, go find deals in free agency, and we've done this in the past, right? We've done this,
Right.
but after that Green Bay game, you just felt like, okay, now's the time to just do something that's
Yeah,
going to
something
just make us
different.
better, something different. Yeah, exactly. My problem goes back to even way back before, even in the trade deadline in the middle of the season last year. This is where my problem began with them. This has just made me more irritated. This first 3 days of free agency is back to the trade deadline when you knew you needed some help to stop the run at linebacker. When you knew you needed another, maybe a running back to help Pollard to get the running game going. Uh,
Yeah,
you saw teams like the Niners trade for Chase Young. They're already strong at defensive line, but what do? They just let's get this guy try to come help
yeah,
us out.
yeah,
You see the Eagles trade for the safety beer. They lose them in free agency after the season, but they did it to as a rental for that season to try to get you over the top. And
hmm
this is where it becomes my problem is there's no trying. There's not trying to help to push us over the top anything.
So they're not
And
addressing the issues at hand, basically, right?
exactly. And you're not we could put the blame on whoever, whatever, but like if you're not showing me the urgency, the trying, what am I this this free agency, and like I said, I get it. Washington's not paying a quarterback. They're going to slide. They got plenty of cap room, right? You got all these teams, these bad teams that don't have quarterbacks. They got plenty of money to spend. They're going to go get these guys, right? You're going to give out contracts. You're
Right.
telling me though, and like I said, running whatever you can say a thing about the running backs. There was plenty of running backs to go get, right?
Right.
That's my thing is Washington gave Austin Eckler a 2 year deal, 11.5 million. What 5.5 million a year? You're telling me the only rumor I'm hearing that you were going after was Zach Moss? That was the guy on your list that you were trying to bring in?
Yeah.
And nothing against Zach Moss. He played good for the Colts, but he didn't play all year as the feature back.
Right. True that. That's so true.
So you got Washington, who has a young kid in Brian Robinson, and they still bring in a guy like Austin Eckler. We know we're going to probably have to draft a running back this year, but
Facts.
you still need some. I'm not like I said. Whatever you do I'm not just saying that. I know we got other important positions like left tackle, center. We got other positions that we got to do. The point is you're telling me that you're going to try to hit in the draft for all these guys when last year we didn't draft one starter in our whole draft? You're banking on that?
Yeah. 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 And and that's what we're going to talk about, man, because we're and everybody's fresh. Chip, I see you back there, brother. Hold tight. I'm gonna bring you in shortly. And that's something that we have to discuss because we're talking about the non-movement, the non-action taken throughout the free agency. We already are bitter about how we ended the season, but now we're wondering what happened during the free agency. Why we didn't go out and get somebody. So and
Yeah,
I'm gonna bring
and that,
somebody else on with us, man, because it's got a guy all the way from the East Coast, and we're gonna put our heads together and try to wrap our heads around what's going on. And it's no other. I got all the way from the East Coast, Chip Game Sports TV's in the house. Give it up.
Salute! You are now rocking with the best Chip Game Sports TV. Right back at it again. And we
Yeah,
coming in
yeah.
real subtle with G, the #1 Cowboy fan Hampton, and the Cowboys huddle. Good
Woo!
evening, my friend.
Give it up one more time. I like that, man. It gave me goosebumps, man. Hey, say it's been a minute, fellas. It's been a minute, and here we are, man. We back again. Things are kicking off, and look like everybody's picking and picking from the batch, and getting some decent players, man. And look like everybody's doing something and making moves. But Chip, what's going on, brother?
It's a sad day in Texas. It's a sad day in the DMV where I live for every Cowboy fan. I'm just wondering, what are we thinking? As we enter into a new season, when you're still at the cusp of where you could potentially get yourself a chip, a rock, a ring, a championship, a Lombardi. But we haven't talked to a living soul, except I think a long snapper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is the thought process in that PR Cowboy? Pete? What is the thought process? I mean, I'm baffled.
Me too, and it just seems like they're just continuing with their ways of we're not going to get the brand, the Fruit Loops. We're going to get that big bag, the great value brand. That's what they're looking for, right? That's what they've done in the past. It's just
Yeah.
what they've done. But the thing about it is, like he mentioned, is you're at the way the season ended, and you're on the cusp of doing something. And we're not saying go get three, four, five players like and just sign big contracts. Go get one guy that can come and help right away. That's a proven player instead of trying to rely on a draft pick that might not be good for about 2, 3 years and help us out.
Mm. And
And look at the thing about it. It's like you're gonna sit here and say, okay, it's because Dak's whatever contract. Okay, you knew free agency was coming up. Why are these contracts not being done to create this room to go get these guys? Because the Eagles, what was their issue last year? Secondary. What'd they go do? Go get C.J. Gardner. Go get a defensive end Huff and pay Saquon Barkley at running back to help Jalen Hurts. We're not doing nothing to help us at all. Nothing. We're losing players, and like I said, I know I've always been patient with them. Like even when we start season slow, and I'm just like, hey, let's wait till November, December, see how it folds up. That's when you want to be playing your best football.
right.
But this has just been like, I could be being impatient. Time will tell. But
Mhm.
I feel like we have the right to feel this way right now.
And you say that, Pete, and here's some things to consider. And the reason we're feeling the way that we're feeling, number one, we did not sign any free agents. We did not
Okay.
even give nobody a call. We out of 32 teams, we were the one team that didn't sign not one free
There
agent.
you
Number
go.
two,
Exactly.
number two, the things considered is Jerry and his mismanagement of funds. Here this is the reason where we are today because we can't spread the wealth around. The Commanders just spent almost 100,000 on three players. So and here we are trying to dig at the bottom of the pot. Number three also is another thing. The question about Dak Prescott contract. So we're in limbo and we're not for certain which direction we're going. So Chip, how you feeling about these things that we're considering?
You know, I just, we all don't mind considering, but my thing is, I wish that they would consider very quickly. Move, strike while the iron's hot. We messed around with Demarcus Lawrence a few years ago.
Yeah.
We took forever in those negotiations up until the guy said, you know what, I'm not going to do. I'm not going to sign with you. I'm not going to have surgery until we get this deal done. They get the deal done in May. He has the surgery done in May that he could have had in February.
Mhm.
Now he doesn't come back. You almost got a wasting season because the guy comes back so late.
Right.
You play around with Zeke Elliott, who goes down to Cabo, and supposedly
Yeah.
he's training, and you sign him late, give him a whole ton of money that you paid once he still left the building. Now here you go with that, playing around, and I really wish that they would consider winning. Would they just
Mm.
consider winning for us? Because
Mhm.
for us, the fan, I don't think they're concerned winning. Because if you look in any of our houses, we paid for the merchandise.
That's
We
right.
financed the stadium. If we go
Yeah.
to the stadium, we're buying the pizza. We're buying the brew. We're buying our hot dog.
The
So
margaritas.
Jerry,
Woo.
Steven, the grandchildren, nobody's missing any money. You know, The
Right.
pockets are still going to be fat, whether they win, lose, or draw. And all they really care about is getting themselves in. I think they're considering, let's just stay hot and be
Mm-hmm.
on the press. Let's TMZ it. Let's Inquire magazine it. Let's just be in the mouths and minds of the people, regardless if we win or not. Don't know what they're considering, but I wish they would consider something very quickly, like getting some more players on our team so that we can win next year.
Yeah, and right now they're saying that Jerry Jones is on a cruise in the Bahamas, and Stephen Jones is down at the Southwest by Southwest down in Austin doing something. Who knows? But that's where they're saying he is. So let me ask you this, then, Pete. Could it be? Could we say that this could probably be the first year of the rebuilding of the Cowboys? I mean,
And I and
could
yes, and
we
I've had
be
this.
looking at that?
And the funny thing is, I had this conversation about an hour ago with somebody else, and I was heated in that conversation. I tell you what, and I was just like, you know what,
Struck a nerve.
we're going back to. It just
Yeah.
looks like we're going back to the Campo years, the 5-11
Oh
season.
my God.
Is
Wait a minute.
is it's it's like it's like they want to put everything on Dak and McCarthy this one year and not give them the help and let them fail so they can get rid of them and I'm just throwing stuff out there. Like this is,
No, right.
and they're gonna let's say, oh, let's move Mike Zimmer to head coach for 3 years to go 5-11 for 3 years until they get out of this mess that they're in. And all this stuff is like, if you're gonna do that, do it right. Let's just go ahead and just like people like you want to get rid of Dak, let's trade Dak, Micah, CD. If you want to rebuild. But
Mm.
I mean, I don't know what. Like I said, we could be being impatient here. We have to but it's already day three, and still, out of all 32 teams, you haven't signed another person to your squad from another team.
Well, real quick, WWE guy said that we got Eric Kendricks. I don't know
I
much about
thought
him. Huh?
Eric Kendricks. I thought he was well, maybe he changed his mind. Was it he was a linebacker that played for Zimmer in Minnesota, right?
I don't know much about him. I have to look him up, but maybe so. But you know, yeah, that's not a big name. I don't think. I don't know, but what are you thinking about this, Chris? Chip, what are you thinking about this, man?
G, it's strange because my emotions, whether it's in a conversation right now with you wonderful gentlemen, whether it's with my family at home, whether it's my friends at work, no matter where, it's like I'm so up and down. I'm vacillating on the thing. I'm moving here, there, and there in the mid conversation, wondering what the deal is. And because this is strange, it's a predicament that if you're a professional owner, and I'm not even gonna, when it comes to JJ, I don't even know I'm gonna mention his name anymore. For me, he's just the owner. So I'm not
Mm,
sure what the owner is thinking about at all. But the
mm.
owner needs to very swiftly, because life is short and it's sweet.
Yeah,
And and whether it's the owner or whether it's any one of us, sometime before we leave this beautiful thing that we call Earth,
I know it. I know it.
if we're a Dallas Cowboy fan, we want to see some rings up in the house.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and
So the owner needs to pull it together there.
Chip, and the worst thing about that, man, is we had the tools to do it this past season. I felt we had the tools. We had the
We had
tools.
it when Amari was there. But
We
they
had,
got in their
yeah.
feelings because they mad at Amari because of however he practiced, or he didn't want to, get the
Yeah.
situation, when 2020 was going on. He didn't want to go ahead and go with the flow. So they let the emotions get in the way and let go something for a fifth
One of the best,
rounder.
yeah, one of the best
Fifth
route runners
round.
in the world. So here's
Um,
I asked question, could this be the first year of the rebuilding of the
Yeah.
Cowboys? And Felicia Colley said, how are we rebuilding when we didn't do anything in free agency? That is not all in. Those are all cap letters too, or rebuilding. So Pete, can you agree with that? Because I know anyone from the free agency that
with no moves in the free agency, that's more that's not all in. I'll tell you that.
Right.
That's not an all in move because you're not bringing anybody that's going to impact the team right now. You're not doing what the 49ers did and bringing a Christian McCaffrey to change the your running back situation. You're
Mm,
not bringing in what the Raiders did with a defensive tackle and Wilkins to help beef up that defensive line. You're not making any of those moves. Um, it just it goes back to like I don't even think they know what they're doing. Like it
yeah,
just, you know what I'm saying? They're caught in the middle of what are we going to do?
yeah.
And and
So
they they want to say their all-in move is re-signing their players. We hear this. How many times? How many years have we heard this? Let's re-sign our own guys. We like our own guys. Re-sign our own guys. And
yeah,
like I said, my issue goes back to right before the trade deadline when you can trade any of these guys on their last year of their deal, and you can rent a Derrick Henry for half a season to try to help your running game, even if you lose them in free agency. But that could be the piece to get you over that year. They just don't do those moves.
mm, mm. So Chip, do you think this non-movement has a lot to do with the situation of Dak and his contract and the front office? Do you think that has a lot or a certain amount uh uh well, let me say a certain amount of reason we haven't done anything?
I think for sure has a lot to do with Dak. And I think they're using Dak as a pawn on this chessboard. I don't even think we're playing chess here, fellas.
Mm,
Clearly not. We're not playing chess, but I think they're using Dak as an ultimate reason. If we don't get the deal done with Dak, you know, we can prove that Dak is the reason why we can't go further. And so, really, when you look at the team and you look at if you were all in and you believe they every year we believe in our guys. Okay, well, believe in the top three, and you got three good reasons why you should deal with all three. Get Dak done first. Boom. Now get CD done second. Boom. Now let's turn around and let's get Micah Parsons done. That's beginning to show us that you're all in. Now then you go bring in some help around him, but we let Biotis roll up the street. And he may not have been our greatest center in the world, but he has some dog and some fight in him for sure. We're not gonna do nothing with Tyron Smith. So you're letting okay, my blind side is not loose and silly now. Okay.
mhm.
And we let my man Dorrance Armstrong go. Everybody going to the Redskins. I think we just lost another free agent a few minutes
Yeah,
ago.
Dante Fowler. Yeah, and and these are free agents that do I just again, and I agree with you too, Chip, because I think a lot of this has to do with Dak, and I don't know if Dak maybe Dak is not even answering his phone. Maybe he just saying, all this crap that's going on, these guys, I don't know if they want me to take a friendly break or whatever,
And
or
that'd be smart.
and we don't know. With Todd France, I'm not sure if Todd France is willing to do that. Todd France is going to probably want his money for his client, but it has yet to be seen. But again, I say that because this is probably one reason we're not seeing any movement because we need to figure out how much money we're going to have to splurge. I would think.
Gee, that's what comes back to Chip's point is you knew free agency was coming. Why were you not talking about this middle of the season, whatever, off season last year, getting some of these deals done early, knowing you were going to be in this situation for
Yeah,
free agency? That's
yeah.
where it comes back to on them.
Well, I don't know. Pete, I really think they thought we was going to make the Super Bowl, and I think we all thought we had a chance to go pretty far. We was not expecting those little youngsters to come in here and just Peter roll us like they did. I mean, they did exactly that to us, and I know I hear this all the time. They say, "Well, we want to say Dan Quinn sabotage," and true that, but I'm gonna say the whole game was sabotaged from defense to offense to special team. And we keep saying that well, we didn't have a running game. Okay, true that. We didn't have the Zeke, but we had the Hunter Loop game. Why didn't we not use Hunter Luke as a fullback for Tony Pollard.
Right.
Why? I mean, hey, let me say this here. Tony Dorsett had Robert Newhouse. Okay. Okay. Emmett Smith had Moose Johnston. And here we got this kid, a fullback that touched the ball one time and he fumbled one time and he never we punished him. We knew that Tony Pollard wasn't an every down back. So when I say sabotage, I'm not just blaming it on Dan Quinn, because Mike McCarthy is supposed to be this analytical coach, that, this percentage deal. Well, why didn't you recognize that, hey, in order for us to run the ball more, let's put Hunter Luke at fullback and allow him to lead Tony Pollard through these holes, or something to get more yards. But that wasn't the case. So I can say that it was sabotage on all aspects of the game, guys. What do y'all think?
I think you hitting it right on, because I think we could have went deep or deeper in the playoffs if we would have used that fullback, because he's a real live fullback. And, probably I think, he could be, we could have been seeing if they would have let him, get seasoned a little more, you could have been getting to see something like we had with Emmett and Moose. But we didn't. And even, get some creativity. Like the 85 Bears, when you have William the Refrigerator Perry. Okay, if Tony Pollard can't do it, let's get creative and get some big body banger to run up the middle every night. Or, you know what? Let's feature Hunter one game. Anything that says we want to run the ball, but the owner doesn't call the plays.
No.
The owner wants the headlines, but the owner doesn't call the plays. So more coaching needed to be. We needed more creativity. We didn't have it. We can't not say we didn't have a good year. We had a great year. It was amazing. It was exciting. We won nice games. We lost a few we should not have lost. But at the end of the day, you showed that you were a championship-ready football team. And if you did just a couple of little tweaks to some game plans and things there, we could have went further.
So, Pete, let me ask you this. We know that Mike McCarthy's been in the league a long time. We know Dan Quinn has been in the league a long time. I remember when we had Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells was a great coach. He was a great coach, great motivator. But the time he came and he coached with the Cowboys, I personally said it just seems that the game had passed Bill Parcells up. The game had changed as far as the evolution of the game. And I'm looking at Mike McCarthy and I'm looking at Dan Quinn, because we know Dan Quinn had issues with this motion offense. And we could say, we saw it with Green Bay. We saw it with the 49ers. We saw, the Rams or another team. Who else is out there?
Everything coming from the Shanahan tree.
Everything's coming from the Shanahan tree. And that was our biggest downfall. So could you say that the game has evolved and it's maybe at the point where it could be passing these coaches up? I mean, because we look at this motion offense, these are younger coaches and they're changing the game. And like Chip said, they have creativity. They're creating on the go. They're evolving the game. So do you think we're almost there, or are we there, or you still think that these coaches still have something in the tank, or what?
Let me say by saying, do you think our offense looked better under McCarthy than it did under Kellen Moore, with a little bit more creativity than with Kellen Moore? Would you say it was a little bit, was it a step up?
Yeah, it was a little bit step up with Mike McCarthy because of his experience.
Okay, so that's where this comes. You got a guy like Andy Reid who's been doing it a long time.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
So, and he's the one winning Super Bowls. These young guys are still not. We've seen it with Shanahan the last few years, where he just can't get over that hump either. And these young guys, they have great minds, but when it comes to situational, sometimes they do blow stuff. I mean, they've shown to. We've seen it with Shanahan multiple times.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, I'm a I've been a believer in McCarthy. I've been a
yeah,
believer of letting him finishing out his contract. Um, like like I said, there we saw a couple incidents where he almost cost us against Detroit, where it was some bad coaching there. But we've seen that with a lot of coaches. I mean, and the thing about it is he has a Super Bowl under his hat,
mhm,
and that team was a wild card team that he won with. And the thing that I've liked about McCarthy is the way he coaches when we have injuries.
yeah,
I feel like that's something we've missed in the past, and he's been able to coach around that.
mhm,
I give him props on that. Um, man, as far as passing him by, it's hard to say.
yeah.
Like I said, you go back to you guys saying about using the fullback, but we knew Pollard wasn't an every down back, and
No,
that just and like I said, that's just gonna bring me back to where you want to give up a 6 round pick. You don't think Tennessee would have taken a 6 round pick for Derrick Henry for 8 games of the season to finish out the season with us? That just brings me back to that point to where you have a hole in the middle, and that's what the trade deadline is for. And you see multiple playoff teams always make that move to try to better their team the rest of the year, and we're the only team that doesn't do that.
yeah,
And I just like we said, we change coaches, we change quarterbacks, we change players all the time. The one thing that's still the same is what's his name? Well, I'm with you, Chip. We won't say his name either. We'll just that guy sitting up there in the yacht.
woo,
It's
man.
it's it's the it's the same deal. That comes back to that right there.
Yeah. Chip, what do you think? Has the game evolved, or do we still, as far as Mike McCarthy and Dan Quinn, how do you feel about those guys at this point of their careers?
First of all, I think those are some great coaches to start with. But I, these younger coaches are coming up with some bright, new, fresh ideas that it seems like the old guard can't fend off. And so game is passing them by now,
Chip,
and we let my man McCarthy say, "Hey, I've been studying analytics for the last few years, and I'm ready." And at the end of the year, we found out no, he wasn't ready at all because that
yeah,
game had passed him by. Now he
Yeah.
got himself back in the water pretty good and everything, and did some great things, but blew some time management calls over the last few years. And we turn around and sometimes it's just like we're wondering if they truly know the situation. We're not
Well,
playing
Brian,
situational football.
you had Brian Schottenheimer on the sideline with him. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, how many more heads you need on the sideline in order to, call a
That's
productive play? I mean,
that's a
what
fact.
would I guess? What's the question is? What was Brian Schottenheimer's job? I mean, I thought his
Mm.
job was to assist Mike McCarthy, see the things that Mike McCarthy didn't see. But, whoo,
maybe
man,
he's a Jerry Jones' new uh, glass cleaner. Who
I
knows what he's
guess.
doing over there. Uh,
You, you,
I mean, bringing back to Chip's point is like you said, like you know, if you go like we said, Andy Reid's staff. What's the defensive coordinator? Spagnola. He's been there a long time, and
Mhm.
so if we're talking about the game passing these guys by, are we worried about our new defensive coordinator now? Because he's
I'm
one of
not
those older
worried.
guys.
I'm not worried. I think
I mean,
with Mike Zimmer, I think what he's going to bring is something that Michael Parson had said. He had some gripes. He said we need more accountability. He said we need an identity of this team, and he said he want all the players to be locked in for 22 weeks. So this is something that Mike Zimmer is going to bring to the table. You're going to be held accountable. So yeah, when we talk about Mike Zimmer, mm, we'll see. We will see. Will he be able to stop the motion offense? We know Mike Zimmer is very aggressive, but We'll see if he's any good at stopping that motion offense. So that's something yet to see. Real quick, I want to say this. Patrick said this, and we know we have some needs. So Patrick said, "Go get AJ Dillon, and he's a thumper. We need him. Then draft a running back at 56." Chip, what do you think?
56, I'm not using for a running back. We got to get some offensive line. We for sure need some defensive line. Those would be the two things that I would use the draft for. I get a late round running back, but for a running back, I still would probably look in the free agency. But we got to remember when we're talking about free agency or any other move, we got an arrogant owner and we got a stingy son. So between those two family members and ownership here, you don't know what you're going to get. Thank God for Will McClay, who I think has some influence, and I think Zimmer, because Zimmer is going to bring defense. Zimmer is going to bring an attitude on that defense. He's going to bring some discipline too. And so what I hope is that Zimmer really stands up on the table, has identified somebody he wants to take with one of those early picks, and that he goes and fights for it. Same thing I hope on the offensive line. But pick 56, offensive line, defensive line, please.
Yeah. What do you think about this comment right here, Pete?
And we'll go back to it, is regardless of what running back, we're going to have to get somebody in free agency, whatever. But regardless of the running back we get in free agency, we are going to have to draft one in the draft. And like I agree with Chip, third round or later, I'm good with the running back. I like the kid from Wisconsin and Florida State are my top two guys.
Yes, sir.
But it comes back to is like Chip, we want offensive line, defensive line. We got to hit on them though. We can't have this Mozzie kind of pick and this Schoonmaker kind of pick that we had last year. You're going to have guys that come in right away. And I feel like where we've had our worst drafts is when we draft for need. And then when we've had our best drafts is when we take the best player available.
Best player available. Right.
And that's just the way we've operated. And when we go for need like we did last year, it just never works out for us.
Well, and that's where we are, knowing that we don't have a center now. And let's look at some of these Cowboy needs. So we know that we're going to probably lose Tyron Smith. He's probably no longer going to return. We lost our running back. We have no running back. Nobody outside of Deuce Vaughn and maybe Malik Davis. That's what we have at running back. Tony Pollard has signed with another team. We need a linebacker. I think, we need a true linebacker. Damone Clark, he did okay, but I just don't think Damone Clark was that individual that could command the defense. And we also need defensive lineman. It's sad that we're saying this, Chip, that we need a defensive lineman. Just like Pete said, we went and drafted a defensive lineman, supposedly be a run stopper, and here we are. So we know that our first pick and our second pick definitely hasn't lived up to what the hype was supposed to have been. And I understand this. Let me say this here. I understand Mozzie has to learn, but personally with me, Chip, if I'm going to pick a first rounder that high in the first round, I expect him to come in and make a difference.
Right away.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Agree.
That's what we didn't see. And here we are again thinking about, and we're talking about, we need a run stopper. So,
Agree.
I mean, do you think, will Mozzie be able to hold his end of the bargain? Or
you know what? First off, with that Mozzie deal, GP I don't know what happened and why did he lose weight in the first place? Who was his coach? Who mentored him to
who
lose
allowed it
weight?
to happen? Right? Who allowed it to happen?
Whose watch was this on that we bring you in here to be a bruiser, to be a thumper, and then you're light as Tinkerbell? No, we can't have that. So, and that's a shame, G, because like you say, when we pick an early round guy, Pete, we want him to come in now and pay dividends now. We got no time to wait. We can't spend the money and then, You a project for 3 years. No,
Yeah.
top round, top shelf, top choice. I want you to play top ball.
Yeah, when we
Yeah,
did, we experienced that with Taco Charlton. We
yeah,
experienced that. So we having a problem with these Michigan guys. I hate to say it, but we having a problem. I mean,
yeah.
Taco
It's
Charlton, and then Schoonmaker. I mean, Schoonmaker.
mhm.
Mm,
That's 2 picks, guys. That
2 picks, 2 players that you could have drafted somebody else that could help somewhere else, and
that's
you
right.
drafted 2 guys to be backups and play
God,
part time last year.
yeah. So
That's that.
so let me ask you this: when we're talking about the needs, Pete, and it looks like that Sam Williams going to probably take that job at the defensive end, and I'm just this is just my opinion, and you might see Michael Parson more at the linebacker position. What would that look like if we went and brought in Bobby Wagner?
Mm.
Well, Bobby's already signed with Washington.
Has he?
Yeah, he's already gone to Washington. So
You got to
that
be
comes
kidding
to.
me.
I'm not kidding you, and and that
Was
brings me
that
to my
minutes
next.
ago or hours ago?
That was about, yeah, probably about it was today this afternoon. Sometime they did do it. That brings me to, and we knew Wagner had ties to our OD coordinator for when, remember the first time he came up as free agent, and
Yeah,
we were calling for him right back then. We wanted him,
yeah,
and I feel
yeah,
like we could have had him, but it's like he probably wanted to come here with our D coordinator, and just our front office just ain't doing it, man.
yeah. So true. And I think that would have been a great fit for Micah, man. For those two to be together, man, to teach
No.
Micah more about how you be a solid linebacker. I just think that would be great. But also, we do have another individual that's still out there, I guess, Devin White from Tampa Bay.
Mhm.
And that's maybe a option we may go. I don't know. What you got?
G, at this point, I just seeing is believing to me right now, man.
Yeah,
Like seeing is just believing to me when they signed the deal. At this point, like just like, oh, they're talking to this, talking to that. Like I gotta see it. Like it, and the thing about it is, like, there's the defensive end Huntley that was from Minnesota. He has ties to
mm,
Zimmer, and I thought we might have had a shot at him to bringing him in, and I'm with you. I agree. Like, let Sam Williams take over that defensive end, move Micah, what we drafted him for as a linebacker. I thought I'd been calling. I think we've all been calling that even last year. We said in the middle of the season of trying to move him more to that spot.
right.
Um, but yeah, like you said, there is some solid free agents out there still. There's some safeties. There's some, you know, like you said, Devin White, the linebacker.
Yeah,
I believe the center from Carolina was released. So there's some guys out there that you can fill some holes, but are we going to do it? Is the
yeah.
thing. So
And here's a question, Chip. So here we are without a running back. There's a few that's out there. We got J.K. Dobbins with the Ravens. He's out there. Um, Zeke Elliott is out there, which we still owe Zeke Elliott what $6 million. So would you call Zeke to bring him in, or
I
would you
bring
look?
Zeke right back
yeah,
and bring in somebody else with Zeke. But I would bring. You never should have let him go in the first place
You never
because you
should
knew
have.
what he was at that point. He's
Yeah,
going to
hmm
give you solid pass, protection for your quarterback. He's going to
hmm
give you those short yardage. We had so
yeah,
much red zone problem this year that it was ridiculous. But your red zone problems would have been erased.
yeah,
Have the owner chose to make a move and let's go ahead and keep Zeke. I would definitely revisit Zeke. He knows the system. He knows the players. He knows the coaches. He knows the end zone. Bring
yeah,
Zeke back.
yeah. And I agree with you, man, because I'm a big Zeke fan, man. I love when he came in, and when he first came in, I remember him from Ohio State. I was like, well, I could have he could have went somewhere else than Zeke Elliott, but man, this kid came in, and man, this guy delivered a punch. This guy came in. Cam Chancellor tried to take him on, and he lowered the boom on Cam Chancellor. And for whatever reason, about when we played the Philadelphia Eagles, he's always looking for the safety, and he wants to lower the boom. So Zeke was something special to us. And for whatever reason, we felt that we had to, allow him to split time. And I always say this here, Pete and Chip. I say two positions you really can't, split time at is your quarterback and your running back position, unless you got two low budget running backs.
We
But
need some rhythm.
Zeke is the Emmitt Smith. Okay, Zeke is the Tony Dorsett. He wants the ball 97% of the time, and I think that kind of threw him off, knowing, the momentum is getting started. Then we're calling him, hey, come on out, let Tony play. And then it's just a start-stop thing. And some running backs just does not, do well when they're pulled out the game, certain times of the game. I mean, so, just something I'm thinking. But I agree with you guys. I mean, you think the same thing, Pete? Would you bring Zeke back?
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, at this point, like I don't have a problem with it. Like we've said before, we're gonna need a running back. We're gonna have to draft a running back too.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
rather I rather I rather have a veteran presence in the
yeah.
backfield that can pick up blitz and stuff like that, while the younger guy, and if the younger guy can give us what Tony brought whenever he spelt Zeke or whoever the case may be, which we, like Chip said, we should have continued that on,
Yeah,
because you had a running back coming off of a broken ankle leg, and you're going to try to make him the feature back. It just didn't
that
make
was
sense at
terrible.
all.
That was terrible. That was terrible. And and not only that, man, there are some running backs out there. I think we can bring Zeke back. We're not asking Zeke to carry the load. We just need the
No.
first down, Zeke, and we need you in the red zone, Zeke. But there's a kid out there named Braylon Allen. He's from Wisconsin, 6'1",
Wisconsin.
230, 35 pounds. That's one kid I've been looking at real strong,
Hmm.
and I think he would definitely be a great asset to this team. And not only him, but there's a kid out of Notre Dame, Audric Estime. He's probably about 5'11", 228 pounds. Something. So we tried the fastback guys. We tried the Tony Pollard. We need somebody with some brute. We need somebody that runs downhill. And I say that to say this. It's another one that might. He's a veteran that I keep talking about, and I don't know if he's signed yet. But his name is Quadri Allison. He played with Pittsburgh and he played with Atlanta Falcons. This guy is a downhill running. I know if we have a price tag or a budget on running backs, and look like we're not spending no more than 3.5 million on a running back. That's just where I think the number, because we couldn't get Zach Moss, and I think he only wanted 4 million. We couldn't give him $4 million. So that's where we are. So we might need to look into that. But before we get out of here, I want to bring up this next topic. I want to know what you think. Well, and this is something that Felicia Colley said. She said something you haven't mentioned. Jimmy Johnson is supposed to be a consultant. So what do you think he has to say about not getting anyone in free agency? Chip, we'll start with you. What do you think, brother?
Well, apparently he's probably not saying too much right now. He's on spring break too as well. Uh, but I don't know if this would sit well with Jimmy. But knowing the championship pedigree he comes from, knowing the fight and fervor that he has, knowing that he wants to win, and knowing that he's back in whatever capacity in, he wants to make an impact. And so I do think there are some conversations being had and some consultations that's being had. And maybe, just maybe, it'll show some signs after the owner gets off the boat.
Yeah. Pete, what do you think about what is Jimmy Johnson? What do you think he's thinking about, or do you think he's even involved in this?
I'll tell you the truth. I don't think he's involved in any shape form. But if he was, I guarantee you, you're saying we're coming off of three straight 12+ win seasons,
Mm,
and if you remember back then, I mean, we were winning Super Bowls and we were still going to go get a Charles Haley, going to go get a Deion Sanders, and I understand there's not that, you know, maybe that type guy, but you were going out and getting somebody to make your team better even after winning championships. And this is the time to do it. You're three straight 12-win seasons, and like I said, that's what I would be thinking. Jimmy's saying is, why are we not being aggressive here and capitalizing on what we're building?
now, I'm glad you brought that up, Pete, because I wanted to ask that question. Now, remember, guys, That was a time. Jerry said, if you can't beat him, you might as well go and buy him. We went and got Ken Norton.
Mhm.
We went and got Charles Haley. And this is what Jerry Jones did back in the day. He went and got Deion Sanders. And he also went and got Terrell Owens. So my question is to you guys, who's running this organization? Because we know Jerry at times would go get a big name player. And why hasn't that happened? And it leads me to question who's running this team. Because Derrick Henry, that is a big splash name. And why we didn't make that splash, I have no idea. So is this a Jerry Jones call or is this a Stephen Jones call? Chip.
I do think it's the son. I think more and more the son is influencing all the happenings over the last few years, not just this year, but I think he's had an impact and an influence on the major decisions that's not happening. He's what you call, in his world, fiscally responsible. In my world, that's stingy. And you just can't be stingy when you're trying to win football. You got to do it like the Rams. But somehow the Rams look like they spent all of the money a few years ago. But somehow right now, those same Rams have cap space to go get guys. The Eagles bought up every player in the entire NFL, it seemed like, 2 years ago to get to the Super Bowl. But guess what? They have cap space right now because they moved, kicked some contracts down the road, got rid of this one, got some leverage here. The same thing that Jerry would do. I think Jerry might have had something to do with them going to get Amari Cooper a few years ago.
Could have.
We spent a first round for him, I think it was.
Yep.
And only to give him away for a fifth. I think the son is being fiscally responsible in his world, very stingy in my world. And I think he's making a terrible impact on the team because to win, sometimes you got to cash it everything in. Let's go for broke. And we're not.
Yeah. And that's the problem. I don't get it because we know that Derrick Henry would have been a big splash. And Jerry wants the attention on him. See, and I think I don't know if you guys saw the interview. And Jerry said, we're all in. Well, I saw the interview and that just got our attention. I think that's one reason we're so frustrated because this is what you told us, Jerry. We're all in. But then Jerry comes back and I forget what show he was on. He said what he meant by all in is the draft, the free agency,
and his players,
and the players. Jerry, well, you know what? You're misusing your words. What he's saying is we need to be all in on taking care of those issues. Jerry, well, you used the wrong words. But guys, let me go back and share something with you. We heard that and it stuck with us. But there's one statement he made that we allowed to go in one ear and out the other. He said, we're running it back. He said we were running it back. Now, I'm going to share something with you guys. He said, so what does that mean you're running it back? That means you're going to leave Mike McCarthy on your 1-year contract. Whoa, what's really going on? Okay, then you sign your defensive coordinator to 1-year contract. Whoa. Now it's really concerning. What are we doing here? And we haven't signed Dak. So we really don't know. So what are we talking about? But guys, let me when we're talking about running back, and I went back and did some research. And I know it's frustrating because we hadn't done anything in free agents. But let me go back to last year free agents and share with you guys what we did. We re-signed Dante Fowler, which, okay, great. We brought him back because he could have went somewhere else. We brought him back. Then we picked up free agent Ronald Jones. Where is Ronald Jones? He's not around, right?
And we knew that. We knew that last year whenever they signed him. He wasn't going to be part of the team.
Yeah, but this is what they do. Then we re-signed Rico Dowdle, and guess who was available at the time? David Singletary. You saw what David Singletary did for the Lions this year. But we signed Rico Dowdle, and then finally, last but not least, Chuma Adugo. Where is he? So here we are. We're acting surprised because Jerry hadn't done anything. When have Jerry done anything in the free agency? He we hadn't seen it in years. We haven't seen it in years. And here we are talking about, these guys are free agents. Well, Jerry's doing the same thing he did
It's
last year.
G G. I don't think it's not being surprised. And like I said, and we've known this for over the years. Them doing this, right? Stevens has pointed out we're going to build through the draft, sign our own players, and try to nickel and dime free agents. They've done this, right?
Right.
Um, Last year to get a couple good values and picks with Gilmore and Cooks. Okay, we
Yeah.
like that. Okay, okay. But it's the way how we ended the season and what we felt like. Okay, here's the time to pounce now to make like you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like
I agree.
it's not patient anymore. I'm just not patient anymore. I want to see now. It's
So the patience is running thin. That's what we're saying, right? We don't.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
running out of time. We're
Yeah, and
running out.
we've praised these guys in the past for how well they've drafted, how this and that,
Yeah.
and we've praised them. We've got some good core players that we've drafted and that we've done well.
Mm-hmm.
But like Chip says, it's like, man, it's got to be like you just finished 13 wins and you got bounced in the first round. Like, bring somebody in that's going to get you over that hump, and you're just not doing that.
Mm. That's good stuff, y'all. Like I said, we're on the outside looking in. We're still trying to figure out what is going on in the organization. Where are the talks between Dak and the front office? We don't know that. And another thing, guys. Do we keep Trey Lance, or do we try to use him as trade bait? Chip. If we're not going to play him, why keep him? Maybe I'm wrong. What do you think? Do we keep Trey Lance or?
Well, one thing for sure is contracts up next year.
Mhm.
We're not exercising anything on him, I don't think. I would definitely be using him as bait for sure, and I would definitely be looking at trading him.
Mhm.
If he was so great, like a lot of people, and by the way, no disrespect to him, but
Right.
if he was what some cowboy commentators got to say that he could be, above that, but he never was elevated above Cooper Rush on this team. He never was elevated on the team that he came from. So I'm not saying he's not a talent, but there's surely some work to do. He's not your starting quarterback right now. Won't be next year. So I would for sure try to solidify that, and I would be trying to move Trey Lance and get some capital for him, which I think he can.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, Pete? How you feeling about that?
Yeah, I'm good either way. I wouldn't mind seeing him as a fight for the number 2 spot on this team too, because like as we've seen past before, something happens to our starting quarterback. That's how Dak got the job, right? That's how Romo got the job, right? The quarterback before him went down. He got the
Yeah.
opportunity. They could happen that way, but we don't know. That's the thing is we
Right.
don't know. And I'm with you, Chip. I'm all for trading him too. If you can get, but here's the thing though, we're horrible at trading players away and getting value for them. So what kind of value are we going to get for him? We traded him for a fourth round pick. I would expect at
Gee.
least a third round or a fourth and a fifth, something like that. That's what
Yeah.
I would expect. But the way our front office works, we'll probably get a seventh round pick and a salt shaker or something for him,
Yeah.
washing machine. So, you know,
Yeah, man. Like I said, it's frustrating, man. But again, we fail to realize that he did say we're running it back, and what is running it back right now? It's looking like we're getting rid of a lot of our free agents, and we're going to go with the draft. So now when we go into this draft, we got to draft for needs, not best player available. We actually need an offensive tackle. We have, without this team, without a center, is like having a car without a steering wheel. And so now we need a center. we need a center, a tackle, and we need a running back, and we need linebackers, go. So guess what, guys? And we only got these first 3 picks, first, second, and third round, they have to
They got to
count.
be. They got to be guys that can start right away.
They got to. They have to. And we don't have a 4th round draft pick. So, these first 3 rounds is definitely going to have to count. But and let me say this here, and to Jerry Jones' credit, they did make a move when they brought Brandon Cook in and they brought Stephon Gilmore. And maybe they might go that route again. I don't know if they can or not, but and they made a difference. So again, I guess we have to be patient, I guess, which I know our patience is running thin, but we got to just see what these guys are going to do. I have no idea, and we all speculate, but I guess time will tell, guys.
Yeah, I mean, we got, like you said, there's some players still out there. Like
Yeah,
I said, to me, seeing is believing. Though, I want to see something be done to fill some of these needs. But right now, yes, it is very frustrating at this point.
yeah, it is. It is. So again, like I said, there are some players out there. We'll just see what happens, and maybe he's trying to, again, like I said, this is nothing new. I think Jerry just threw us off when he said he was all in, so we expecting all in and big splashes. And but I agree with you guys. I really think that Steven is doing most of the call, making all the calls with this organization, because you and I, we all know that Jerry is all about making big splashes, and for whatever reason, we just didn't do it. So it's going to be something to see, guys. So, but anyway, guys, that's about an hour. I held you guys up for a whole hour, man. But it's always great to have you guys on. I appreciate it, man. It's our first Wednesday back, man, and now we got something to talk about. It's been a little dead out there, so we're gonna try to continue to bring good content, man. Again, I want to give a big shout out to PR Cowboy and Chip. Game TV, sports TV in the house. So we want to say thank you. Let's give it up for those guys. And for everybody out there, we want to say thank you as well for being a part of this channel and just following us as we bring you good content. And with that being said, like I always say, continue to stay safe and continue to be blessed. Deuces.